Now let's talk about the stages or phases of retirement. In 1962, a professor of gerontology named Robert Atchley wrote a series of articles about his studies of retirement. He created a model of retirement adjustments. In his work, Atchley suggested that we should think about the retirement process as a series of adjustments through 7 phases. A phase when retirement is years in the future, a pre-retirement phase, a honeymoon phase, a disappointment phase, a reorientation phase, a stability phase, and what he calls a terminal phase. There's a link in your workbook to his research. After that, many other professors and writers used his model to create a version that made sense to them. Most of these research call out some kind of a planning or preparatory phase. This planning phase, called by some pre-retirement or anticipation, takes place 5 to 15 years before the actual retirement takes place. For many people, the primary effort in this phase involves financial planning, coming up with a savings goal and different calculations to determine how much to save to make it a reality. I argue that people should actively use this phase not only for financial planning, but that this is the perfect time to do deep examination of your purpose, what you really want to accomplish in life, how you want to leave things. If you are taking this course in preparation for retirement, I really applaud you. It's also a great time to think about your likely reaction to having more leisure time and reflect on expectations, fantasies, and your fears. It's a time to use your imagination and think about where might you live? What might you do? How will you spend your time? You might start to create a dream list of ideas you'd like to try, skills you'd like to develop, encore careers that you might consider. If you're married or in a long-term relationship, anticipating how things might change between the two of you. Then comes the actual event. Some call this phase freedom or liberation or vacation. Many people report having a kind of honeymoon period in the first months after retirement, a feeling of relief or euphoria. Maybe you even had a countdown leading up to the day. You've been working your whole life, and now the day you've been anticipating forever is finally here. This is what it felt like for me in the beginning. Every day felt filled with possibilities, and even doing mundane things was exciting, like the joy of experiencing the grocery store midday on a weekday. I tackled all kinds of things that seemed unattainable while I was still working, like digitizing and organizing 10,000 family photos. Finally, I had the free time to travel, and I started a project to define potential areas where we could relocate. I took courses in subjects I had only ever dreamed about. I studied with amazing teachers around the world. I launched into an exciting new wave of creativity, painting with new mediums and with a new sense of identity. I got certified as a Chopra meditation coach. I kept a detailed daily journal of everything I was learning and experiencing, and it seemed like a magic time of entry into a brand new way of life. I relished the freedom to spend my days exactly how I pleased, with no one to answer to. But that euphoric reaction isn't experienced by all newly retired people. For many people, this initial phase is a time of stress because you have unstructured time, maybe for the first time since childhood. For those people whose identity is closely tied to their job title, it can be a harsh reality to suddenly be a PIP, a previously important person. This is why advanced mental and emotional preparation can be a real investment so that you can avoid that potential disenchantment. Maybe you have seen a chart that looks something like this. Mike Drack calls this the big retirement dip, and many research studies confirm this pattern. For many people, once the honeymoon phase is over and some of the travel and projects and things on the initial to-do list are complete, you might find yourself wondering what to do with unstructured days. Some of the emotional hallmarks of this phase are boredom, loneliness, and feeling lost. Some people fall into clinical depression. Maybe you are keenly missing your routines, your colleagues, your former sense of purpose and structure. Some people call this phase disenchantment. Mike Drack calls it retirement hell. This is where you see a significant decline in positive attitudes. I think that knowledge is power. Understanding that is typical and that many people face this is helpful, especially learning how people successfully navigate through it. In this phase where reality sets in, many report feeling let down compared to expectations and becoming lonely and sad, disconnected, and even, as I said, clinically depressed. Common symptoms of depression include feeling sad, hopeless, helpless, or guilty, loss of interest in one's enjoyable activities, decreased energy, difficulty sleeping, irritability, moving or talking more slowly, thoughts of death or suicide. Isolation during the pandemic made this even more acute for some seniors. The Mayo Clinic cites several steps you can take if you or someone in your life is exhibiting signs of depression, and I've linked an article about this in your workbook. In addition to talk therapy and antidepressant medications, there are several other actions that can reduce the risk of depression, including getting regular exercise, eating a healthy diet, getting sleep, staying socially connected, being active with hobbies. Experienced retirees that I've interviewed often give advice along the lines of being patient and trying different things until you establish a comfortable routine. Knowing that you have a yoga class on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, or a golf game on Wednesdays and Fridays gives you some anchor points to build your life around. Other thriving retirees give advice about the importance of building lots of social networks. The emotional impact of loneliness was covered a great deal during the pandemic, and the impact in retirement is obvious. Friendship doesn't just happen, it's an investment. You have to actively contribute and reach out and make things happen in relationships, and retirement gives you a new opportunity to forge all kinds of connections. Family and friends are one arena, and others might be your pals from yoga class, neighbors, buddies from courses you're taking, etc. Investing in many different social networks helps you stave off loneliness and forge connections that might help you through future transitions. During this phase, some people realize that their job was a bigger part of their identity, self-esteem, and social life than they thought. This is why in this phase, a lot of people consider returning to the workforce in some way or doing something entrepreneurial. That choice would be one to consider if you want additional income, new challenges, social opportunities, and additional healthcare options. Now let's talk about the next phase. Experts have different names for this phase that often happens between 2 and 15 years after retirement. Some call it reconciliation or stability. This is where many retirees get more comfortable and settled, saying, okay, this is my life. I might spend a third of my life in this phase. Maybe you'll try on different activities for size and see how they feel. It's a time of trial and error and reinvention. It's a phase of settling into meaningful, purposeful retirement, where hopefully you find something engaging to turn your attention to. You get clarity on what kind of path you're on and your purpose going forward. This phase is about moving closer toward a balanced lifestyle with a new set of diverse interests, relationships, and routines. It can be a very exciting and fulfilling time of reinvention and redefinition for yourself. I'm still in this stage personally, and I wake up excited every day. I'm creating new courses and painting and doing yoga and making a lot of new friends. I feel mentally challenged and remarkably at peace. I could see myself happily doing this for the next 30 years because there's always some new subject to explore. In this phase, Robert actually talked about finding new roles, new structures, and a new sense of purpose. You can see on the dip chart that those feelings of positivity return in this phase. The next identified phase takes place well into your retirement, perhaps 16 plus years after. There's plenty of evidence to prove that for many, life gets even better in this phase. Hallmarks of this phase are feelings of hope and contentment, where you have reinvented and reinvigorated your identity and purpose. Not everyone gets here, but it's the phase that you strive for. Here you're way past planning for it. You're living it, hopefully feeling at your best. This is when most retirees report feeling generally content, hopeful, and accepting of being retired. Comforting routines are established, goals are realistic and achievable, and studies show that for most, happiness increases. Some retirees I interviewed talked about life at this stage. One said, it's nice, because when I connect with my friends by phone, I can really take time for a good long chat. Another said, I have a daily routine that I love. It's filled with creativity, music, and time in nature. I walk every morning, and I find fulfillment in mentoring young students. I feel I'm still evolving as a person. So as you can see, there's a typical arc to the phases of retirement. Every time a new challenging moment in life takes place, it will be natural to go back through some of these steps. For example, if you experience the death of a life partner or a new personal health challenge, or you move to a new living situation, you will likely be navigating some of these same waters again. Every time you have to grapple with a shift in your own identity and self-concept, you'll have to do this inner work yet again. You will redefine and give shape and substance to your ultimate creation, the story of your life.